I'm sorry. That was acting. That's what that was. I don't really care what happens with this movie. I really hope her career is pretty much over. I'd be thrilled to see that. I can't imagine. I mean, Christian,
have you changed up your impression at all, or is it pretty much the same?
Well, the noise is the same. I've not got any more noises in my back. The new infected are pretty terrifying. They're so smart, and they haven't really got a noise. That's the whole point of them. They're silent and terrifying.
Ooh, give us a little silent and terrifying.
Not only is she incredibly controlling, but she's a bitch about it to everybody who works for her when things inevitably start spiraling.
Oh my God. She is so full of it.
This is not what it's...
The creator of the show is finally speaking out about its failure. The Last of Us creator Craig Mazin admits season 2 was a fake finale, drew over 50% less than the finale of season 1. You lost half of your audience.
One video, 2 words, and an entire show on the edge of collapse. When The Last of Us debuted, it wasn't just another video game adaptation, it was the adaptation. Critics called it unmissable. Fans hailed it as HBO's next crown jewel, and at the center of it all, Bella Ramsey, hailed as a gritty, fearless new face of television, and Nico Parker, a breakout star with only 1 episode but an unforgettable presence. Together, they were the future of the franchise. But then, something cracked. Behind the glowing headlines and carefully curated press tours, a quiet rift was growing.
The Last of Us was plagued by complaints of bad casting. And The Last of Us 2 is not faring much.
And then it wasn't quiet anymore. A viral clip, just a few seconds long, would change everything. Suddenly, fans were picking sides. Insiders were leaking details. And HBO? They were in full-blown crisis mode. What really happened behind the scenes of The Last of Us? Why did Nico Parker call out her co-star? And did Bella Ramsey just walk away from a billion-dollar franchise? This isn't just drama. This is the unraveling of one of the biggest shows in TV history. And it all started with a smile and a whisper. When season 1 of The Last of Us premiered, it was lightning in a bottle. Bella Ramsey, fresh off Game of Thrones, was cast as Ellie, a role that demanded emotional depth, grit, and vulnerability. At just 19, she was suddenly the face of HBO's most hyped show. Beside her was Nico Parker, daughter of actress Thandie Newton, playing Joel's daughter, Sarah. Her role was short but devastating, and in just 1 episode, Nico carved her name into the heart of the fandom. Behind the scenes, the chemistry between them was undeniable. Promo tours showed Bella and Nico laughing, finishing each other's sentences, walking red carpets side by side. Every photo, every quote painted the same picture. 2 young actresses navigating fame together, equal parts goofy, grounded, and glowing. Industry buzz was electric. HBO leaned into the narrative hard. They positioned both of them as the future of the franchise. Nico, despite having limited screen time, was praised for her subtle performance. Her tearful goodbye scene trended for days. Bella, meanwhile, was the emotional anchor of the season. Critics applauded her for capturing Ellie's pain, humor, and defiance. It was rare to see 2 rising stars, both under 20, earn that kind of acclaim so quickly. To fans, they weren't just actors. They were the new faces of a beloved universe. But fame is rarely what it seems. While the cameras captured smiles, insiders began whispering about long shoot days, intense creative pressure, and disagreements on set. Some claimed the spotlight was burning too hot, especially for Bella, who was carrying nearly every episode. Others noted that Nico was unusually quiet in joint interviews, often deferring to Bella or cutting responses short. Was it just media nerves, or was something else brewing? As HBO rolled out awards campaigns and merchandise deals, the stakes only climbed. Bella was now being hailed as the future of HBO. Magazines put her on covers. Interviews dubbed her the next big thing, but with that kind of spotlight comes a darker side, one filled with criticism, expectations, and the constant pressure to perform. Nico, in contrast, remained in the background, watching, listening, and, as we'd later find out, waiting. It started with a quote, small, almost forgettable at first, but in hindsight, it was a signal. During a quiet press interview just before season 2 launched, Nico was asked about her preparation for the role. She smiled and said, "Some of us prepared like this was a career-defining moment. No names, no finger-pointing, but the internet doesn't miss a beat, and fans knew exactly who she meant. The timing was too perfect." By then, Bella had become a lightning rod. After early teasers for season 2 dropped, the backlash was swift. Social media lit up with criticism. Too flat, no chemistry, she's ruining Ellie. Reddit threads dissected her line delivery, her emotional tone, even her appearance. It was savage. At the same time, Nico began showing up solo at events. No no Bella in sight. Fans started asking questions, and the answers came fast, not through official statements, but through subtle moves and icy body language. PR tours were quietly split. Nico was doing her own interviews, smiling for cameras, offering thoughtful commentary on the show's direction. Bella, on the other hand, was quieter, withdrawn. She showed up, but barely. Her energy had shifted. The spark that defined her in Season 1 seemed to dim. Insiders say the tension backstage was unbearable. One anonymous crew member was quoted as saying, "You could cut the air with a knife." Apparently, Bella and Nico had stopped speaking off camera. No more shared trailers. No more candid selfies. What had once been a friendly dynamic had collapsed into cold avoidance, and fans started to notice. Then came the moment no one saw coming. A fan account posted a blurry video from a press junket. Nico Parker, off camera, turns and, with a smirk, mouths two words. She tanked. Within hours, the clip exploded. TikTok slowed it down. Twitter frame analyzed it. Subreddits erupted. There was no going back. For Bella, it was the final blow. Sources say she was blindsided, not just by the clip, but by the silence that followed. Nico didn't deny it. She didn't clarify. She didn't reach out. And Bella, she broke. She was seen leaving the event early. One crew member claimed she sat in a car for 20 minutes, wiping her face and refusing to talk. For a star once described as fearless, it was the first public sign of collapse, and behind closed doors, HBO went into full panic mode. Because the drama wasn't just between two actresses, it was now threatening the future of the entire franchise. And the worst part? This was just the beginning. The first episode of The Last of Us Season 2 dropped like a bombshell, and not in the way HBO expected. After a massive build-up, tens of millions tuned in for the premiere. But something was off. Comments flooded in within hours. YouTube reactions and Twitter threads turned sharp fast. Words like disconnected, off, and flat were thrown around. And one name kept popping up: Bella Ramsey. Fans weren't just criticizing the show. They were blaming her. Some said her performance lacked emotional depth. Others claimed her portrayal of Ellie felt too performative, too self-conscious. One Reddit thread with over 20,000 upvotes broke down her key scenes frame by frame, analyzing her tone, her delivery, even her posture. Comments like, "She's not Ellie anymore," and "This feels like fanfiction," dominated the discussion. In contrast, Nico Parker, who had returned in a brief but powerful flashback, was being praised left and right. Even with limited screen time, fans called her the emotional anchor of the episode. One viral tweet read, "Nico Parker gave more in 5 minutes than Bella gave in the whole episode." That tweet alone got over 100,000 likes. And Nico? She didn't shy away from the attention. In an interview just days after the premiere, she was asked what it felt like to return to a show with such high expectations. Her response? A calm, deliberate smirk, and a line that instantly ignited the fandom. Some people connect with their characters, some don't. No names, no shade, at least not directly. But the message was loud and clear. And Bella? She stayed silent. Within 2 weeks, the numbers told the story no one could ignore. Viewership dropped by over 50% between the premiere and episode 3. It wasn't just a dip, it was a collapse. Critics tried to blame pacing, others blamed the writing. But inside the fandom, the narrative had already formed. Bella was the problem. Twitter threads accused her of tanking the emotional weight of the show. TikToks roasted her acting with side-by-side clips comparing her Season 1 scenes to Season 2. Even fan pages that once championed her began posting memes, jokes, and re-edits, replacing her with alternate casting choices. And through it all, Nico remained poised. Her praise was growing, her fan base expanding, and her interviews, now solo, were gaining more attention than the show itself. But then came the clip, just 6 seconds, grainy, captured off-screen. But the damage? Immediate. It was supposed to be just another press junket. Smiles, generic sound bites, promotional fluff. Instead, it became the turning point. The clip surfaced late one night from a fan account with barely 2,000 followers. A shaky phone video taken off a monitor at a media room. Nico Parker, sitting slightly off camera, turns to someone beside her and, with a smirk, mouths the words, "She tanked it." There was no audio, no context, just a moment, but it was enough. Within minutes, the video was screen captured, reposted, slowed down, zoomed in. Lip readers weighed in. Fans froze the frame, looped it, debated it. There was no doubt. The words were unmistakable. And the target? Clear as day. Bella Ramsey. The clip exploded. TikTok videos analyzing the moment racked up millions of views. She tanked it, started trending on Twitter. Meme pages had a field day. But for Bella, it wasn't funny. Insiders say she found out about the clip just hours after it dropped, during a press event. One crew member described the the moment she saw it. She just froze. Then she walked off. No one said anything. Reports claim she left the event early, sitting in a car alone for nearly 30 minutes, visibly shaken. Another insider said HBO's PR team went into panic mode, calling legal teams, attempting to flag and suppress the clip on social media, issuing quiet takedown requests. But it was too late. The damage was done. Within 48 hours, paparazzi snapped Bella outside a studio exit, hood up, eyes red, visibly emotional. Photos of her began circulating online with captions like "Broken Bella" and "Not acting anymore." Fans debated whether she was overreacting or genuinely hurt. But one thing was clear: she was gone. She stopped posting on social media, canceled interviews, disappeared from the public eye entirely. 3 of her latest Instagram posts deleted. Her Twitter account went silent. No statements, no explanations, just silence. Meanwhile, Nico showed up at another event the same day, glowing. She laughed with reporters, signed autographs, posed for photos. She didn't address the clip. She didn't deny it. And to many fans, that silence spoke louder than any denial could. The internet quickly divided. Team Bella called the clip harsh, a mean girl moment that crossed the line. Team Nico defended it as honesty, saying she just said what everyone was already thinking. But inside HBO, it was DEFCON 1. Executives called emergency meetings. Press appearances were restructured. PR strategies rewritten. Bella's name, once a core part of the Season 2 campaign, was now being strategically downplayed. And just like that, The Last of Us wasn't a hit series anymore. It was a crisis. And HBO was scrambling to keep it from falling apart. Once the clip hit viral velocity, it wasn't just the fandom watching anymore. It was the entire industry. Inside Hollywood, whispers turned into phone calls. Talent agencies, producers, showrunners, everyone started asking the same question: what's happening with Bella Ramsey? And the answers, they weren't reassuring. According to multiple insiders, Bella didn't just break down emotionally. She nearly walked away. One source close to the production said she was completely wrecked after seeing the clip and refused to take calls for nearly a week. Another claimed she asked HBO if she could pause filming just to catch her breath. The response? Damage control. PR teams were activated like it was an oil spill. Managers were looped in. Scripts were frozen. HBO suddenly found itself in a nightmare scenario. Their breakout star, the emotional core of The Last of Us, was crumbling mid-season, and there was nothing they could do to clean the mess. Meanwhile, Nico Parker's silence was beginning to speak volumes. She hadn't apologized. She hadn't clarified. No statement, no denial. And to many fans, that made things worse. She was everywhere. Red carpet events, panels, late-night interviews. Her smile? Flawless. Her comments? Polished. Her vibe? Untouched. The internet took notice. Some fans began calling it savage PR. Others praised her for staying unbothered and above the drama. But it wasn't just fans. Brands noticed. Studios noticed. So did agents. Bella Ramsey, once on track to become HBO's next award season darling, was now the face of a franchise in crisis. Nico Parker? She was quickly becoming the girl who didn't just survive a scandal. She might have capitalized on it. Back on set, things got even colder. Crew members reported a visible rift. No more shared trailers. No casual jokes between takes. According to one source, they literally avoided eye contact. Another claimed their trailers were moved to opposite ends of the production lot. At a major promotional event, the tension went public. Bella reportedly reached out, possibly to smooth things over, but Nico sidestepped her. A PR handler quickly stepped in to fill the space between them. It was captured on video. The clip went viral. The caption? The coldest red carpet in HBO history. And behind the scenes, HBO executives were melting down. At HBO headquarters, the mood turned from confusion to full-scale panic. The Last of Us wasn't just a hit. It was supposed to be the future. Merch, spin-offs, prestige awards, Season 3 and 4 already in development. But now, it was being talked about in industry circles as a fragile property. Volatile, unpredictable, risky. The first emergency meeting happened within 72 hours of the clip going viral. According to leaked emails, executives debated whether to release a statement, something vague, non-committal, aimed at diffusing the fan war. Legal pushed back. PR teams suggested a softer strategy: pull Bella from the spotlight, delay appearances, and focus on ensemble marketing. Within a week, the shift was visible. Trailers featuring Bella were pulled or re-edited. Press kits were updated to highlight secondary characters. Social media posts stopped tagging her account altogether. The message was subtle but loud. Bella Ramsey, once the face of the franchise, was now fading from the frame. Then came the script rewrites. Season 3 story was already deep in development, with scripts, scenes, and character arcs mapped out. But suddenly, showrunners were instructed to reevaluate. Some scenes involving Ellie were softened. Others were scrapped entirely. Internal notes reportedly asked writers to rebalance character focus and diversify narrative weight. Translation? Less Ellie, more everyone else. Behind the scenes, rumors swirled that Nico Parker was pushing for creative input. Some insiders claimed she had begun sitting in on story meetings, offering notes, pitching alternate arcs, even proposing flashback sequences centered around her character. One report even claimed she was lobbying for a limited series spin-off. To many, it looked like a power grab. To others, it was survival. And amid all of it, Bella stayed silent. No statements, no returns to social media, no appearances. Some claimed she was still under contract, but hadn't filmed in weeks. Others whispered that she was considering a break from acting altogether. Either way, HBO was preparing for the possibility that she wouldn't return at all. And that's when recast rumors began. Nothing official, no announcements, but sources close to the production said that exploratory conversations had happened. Screen tests, audition tapes, backup plans. It was like planning for a storm they weren't sure would hit, but one they couldn't afford to ignore. And in the middle of it all, Nico Parker, still rising, still silent, still smiling. As Bella faded from the spotlight, Nico Parker surged forward, not just in public perception, but possibly behind the scenes as well. At first glance, her role in The Last of Us was brief. Sarah Miller, Joel's daughter, tragically gone by the end of episode 1. But her performance left a mark. It wasn't just sad, it was raw, guttural, memorable, and HBO noticed. According to agency leaks, as the fallout with Bella intensified, Nico's team moved fast. While the internet debated the "she tanked it" clip, Nico was reportedly in closed-door meetings renegotiating her contract, not just for minor appearances, but for something much bigger. One source inside the production claimed that Nico had been quietly pushing for expanded creative input, a seat at the table, not just as talent, but as a visionary. She reportedly pitched flashback scenes, alternate timelines, and even proposed a new dream sequence narrative that would bring Sarah Miller back into the emotional center of the show. She came with a plan, one executive reportedly said. She wasn't playing checkers, she was playing chess. By mid-season, Nico had allegedly secured a deal that gave her creative input on future seasons. Unconfirmed reports even suggested she would co-develop a prequel-style miniseries centered on Joel and Sarah, essentially rewriting her role in the franchise's long-term vision. It was a strategic move, no doubt, but depending on who you ask, it was either genius or cold-blooded. Some fans praised her ambition, calling her a rising mogul. Others accused her of career opportunism, leveraging Bella's vulnerability to position herself as the next face of The Last of Us. TikTok commentators dissected her interviews. Reddit threads debated whether her rise was earned or engineered. Meanwhile, Bella Ramsey remained absent. Still no public appearances, no online activity. According to insiders, she hadn't returned to set, and HBO was restructuring the narrative to compensate. One source even said the writer's room was told to future-proof the franchise in case Bella opted out completely. And that future, it was starting to look like it belonged to Nico. As the drama continues to spiral, the question hanging in the air isn't just what happened, it's who caused it. Was Bella Ramsey crushed by the pressure of leading a billion-dollar franchise, or undermined by someone she once called a friend? Was Nico Parker being honest, speaking truth when others stayed silent, or was she orchestrating a quiet takeover, using public sentiment as leverage to seize control? The truth, as always, probably lives somewhere in between. What we know is this: Hollywood is a machine that eats young stars alive, especially women, especially when the spotlight is white-hot and expectations are sky-high. Bella Ramsey carried a massive emotional burden through Season 1, and Season 2 raised the stakes even higher. The criticism she faced wasn't just professional, it got personal, and it cut deep. On the other side, Nico Parker is undeniably talented, poised, and media-savvy. But her silence after the infamous clip, her refusal to clarify or de-escalate, that wasn't just an oversight, that was a choice. And HBO, they chose survival. Rather than protect their lead actress, they pivoted, shifted focus, rewrote scripts, and some say let the show's emotional core get swallowed by chaos. So, who's to blame? Is Nico the villain, or just ambitious in a world that punishes softness? Was Bella unprepared or unfairly isolated? Or is this entire disaster just another example of how the entertainment industry industry turns friends into rivals and stories into war zones. One thing's for sure, this was never just about acting. It became a battle of perception, power, and narrative control. And it's still playing out. The Last of Us began as a triumph, a bold reimagining of one of gaming's most emotional stories. But now, it's a case study in how quickly that success can unravel. Behind the scenes, HBO is scrambling. Viewership is shaky. Scripts are shifting. Cast dynamics are shattered. And the fans? They're divided like never before. Some want Bella to return, healed, empowered, and given the space to reclaim her role. Others say it's time to move on, to rebuild the show with new energy. And at the center of that debate stands Nico Parker, now positioned as both a potential savior and the spark that started it all. The show's future hangs by a thread. Will Bella Ramsey walk away for good? Is Nico Parker the new face of the franchise, or just a rising star caught in the fallout? And more importantly, can The Last of Us survive? Without Ellie, only time will tell. But in the savage world of Hollywood, there are no second chances, only the next move.